Hey everybody, just thought I'd make a milestone video to, help congratulate all of us, I guess, me, myself, and all of y'all for being part of this. For it wouldn't be here if it wouldn't have happened for you. Let me zoom in here and get up here. What we're looking at here is I just broke 4,000 subs. So it's another milestone video that we're doing here looking at it. And if you'll look, I've got 1.45 million views on my vids. It doesn't really show in the amount of vids on there. We know that it's been shadow banned. We've sat and watched him literally peg off numbers. I've been on a video where it says I have 160 views and tell somebody that it said a minute ago it was over 200 and they come on to respond and it's at 88. I came back on to respond for it and it was at 58. Then he came back on, responded, and it was at 60. Yeah, we've actually seen this go on, so it doesn't matter so much to me. I think this counter actually works pretty good, but then again, you can't attach it to any gray matter whatsoever. I've changed out this. I used to have one that was on a religion right there and everything, or on Judaism and biblical religion and stuff, and a reveal. Now I've changed it to the ancient origins of Egypt that has the Tanit symbol there on it and the Ankh, and that four-parter that I've done there. Of course, recent videos that's come out here, and we're looking at other popular uploads and so on. And I noticed that just a recap of what's gone on, I guess. I moved everything over to this site here about 2 years ago, and then I started making videos off of this and piecemeal and putting them on the other site. And then I just shut down the other site and started doing them over here because that got a strike on it. Of course, I've had a couple of strikes on here and things touched upon people, and then I got shadow banned and so on. But like what had happened, I guess, is I made one on a Mandela effect that came out, but I had a bunch of them that were out before then, and I think I had like 31 people viewing, and I had put our as members, literally, because this started from zilch. And the only thing I had on here was some old coral reef videos, which we just talked about recently. And y'all are welcome to go look at them. They're all down at the bottom. It's rare exotic corals from around the world. Some of them are named. Certain ones of these little flower-looking things are no bigger than a pencil eraser to the size of a nickel or so, and they have exotic patterns in them. A lot of them are named and so on. Some of them are very expensive per piece, and you can grow them out and they flower and turn into 2 and 4 and so on, and then you frag each one little off and sell them off to people so they can have the exotic variant. That some of these are just one of a kind, and start from that pretty much. But anyhow, so I made the Mandela effect video, and that kicked in a little bit. Some people subbed then, and it got up to where that, and then the Aryan video that I had put out before that uh, popped, and it started going real good. And some people, I noticed on the looking at the numbers on it, that a lot of people had shared it somehow. It had like a 30% share on it, 28% sharing on it, which I thought was incredible. I don't know. And so it started taking off. And then I made another video that connected Proto-Indo-Europeans and Aryans to people in India, and it got banned in 244 countries. And the next thing I know, that thing stagnated at about 46,000 views. And the Mandela effect one stagnated at about, it was about 130,000 by that time, and it just stagnated too. And I was like, everything just stopped. It was weird. It was accelerating. You could see it on my graphs. I mean, you get my finger out here or something, but it was literally going up a graph like this, going up, and then it went here, and then it was like, well, what happened there? What did I do? Well, is it just growth? And this was a growth chart, and I wasn't growing anymore, so it looked like I was going down. No, I wasn't losing anybody. It's just all of a sudden my vid count went down because it was so high. Well, what turned me off? I don't know. Then I kind of figured it out. So I took a couple of my other videos that I knew had also gotten flagged, where I had apparently poked the cat accidentally, and threw those off. And it didn't do anything. And I just said, screw it. So I went on. Anyhow, guys, so that was 2 years ago or more. And so now I've gone through and made a whole lot more videos, and it seems like recently somehow somebody turned back on the algorithm slightly, because this one has slowly been climbing up 69,000. And I think a lot of people that are finding my site are starting to go through my vids, and I'm getting a percentage of sharing again, and I really appreciate it. Anyhow, so that was kind of like the starting on it, and why a lot of my vids just choked out here: 500 views, 300 views, 400 views, and just went down. Also, I really have a strong belief that 95% of the people that I have as subscribers are not getting my recent releases. That bell's not working for you, because it doesn't work for a lot of other people. In fact, just the other night, I put out a special release, and I got into the video waiting for it to start, and then it sent me my own release. We had a couple people come in the video late and go, I just got my release. And another person said, I knew you were starting one, so I checked and it was already started. They never got theirs. And they are a regular who had been in all my recent videos waiting for it. So, sometimes you got to click that bell and then go inside of it and click on the deal that says, notify me always. And even if you do that, it knocks it off. The other night, Robert Sepper came out with one, and I had been told, well, this 2 or 3 times, somebody told me, you got to go in there and make sure that each one bell does whatever, and click it on that one. So I did it on his. Hell, the other night I didn't get it. Somebody's like, Robert's got a new one out, and I go, yeah, I saw it. They go, no, 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 no. And I go, oh. So I went to his site. Sure enough, there it is. Now over in my sidebar, I've got it where it shows channels, and you can pick up on people, it shows up over here, and people that I'm with and stuff, and sure enough, there it goes, and it says 2. It never says 1 on his, because he does a copy on both sites, Atlantean Gardens and Robert Sepper, and so it says 2. So I usually go view 1, and I can expect it to say 1, and usually I'll just go to the other site just to clear it off of there, so if I ever see him show up on the list, and I do that to a couple of the people. I don't have very many on there. I think I've got 12 total, and I know for a fact about 4 of these don't ever even make videos and stuff. I've just subbed to them because they're friends and so on like that. So it's I can't recommend all these channels, people, because I don't know, just like me, I'm sure to y'all, okay? Just like me, you've watched a bunch of the videos, and then you get to a certain video and you're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about here, and so on. And I don't want to go, well, here. People ask me all the time, what books can you read? And I'll be like, well, here, you should read this book, but hold on, before you get it, let me go through here with a black marker like the government and mark out some of this bullshit, because I know it's not true. Or wait, let me spend a couple of weeks writing in the side margins and putting stars and arrows everywhere, because, and that's kind of what I do. Is I'm like, hey, I've got something to add to this. And what's beautiful is I'm trying to find pieces that I don't know that fit into my web, and I can quite often find it. And now with genetics starting to happen, it starts to verify all these things. This is what's happening now, and why I've kind of changed mode slightly on what I'm doing, is because there's a lot of new information coming out in genetics and things, and paleobotany papers and these things that I really didn't have as much access to, and you had to go out of your way to try to attain any of these things, and they dig through 34 pages worth of dissertation crap and figure out, what are they, and then you have to glean your own information out of it. Nothing's really coming straight from it. But now people are hooking up direct into articles and things like that, kind of like National Geographic used to, and you see a lot more of it coming out, and you can easily just track down what they ran off of, take a look at it, verify it, and go, yeah, okay, and go off of it. And so I'm able to look at things like that and then just add to it with what I know. I've been playing around with pottery and linguistics and BS and people with a made-up language like Proto-Indo-European now for over 20 years, and pottery and corded ware and all these things you hear about. And the gorgeous thing that's happening here is the genetics. They finally figured out how to get DNA, and rarely you can find one that you can get it out of, but when you can, it's extremely revealing. And all these mythological stories are all showing to be true in some way, fashion, or form. Now, you hear in the Greek legends and all that, and it sounds all fanciful, but amazingly, it's coming out to be somewhat true. but you hear all this stuff and it's all attached to gods, and it has this weird mist over the whole thing because they wrote in allegorical type things. It's a part of what they did. You can see that in a lot of that and the things they did, twisting in the Bible and things like that. And they spoke upon allegories. It's quite elegant. You look at it, and you look at ancient Sumerian linguistics and things too. It shows quite a bit of, uh, what's the word there? It shows quite a bit of advanced poetic knowledge. And when you read it and you go back and visit it again, you can actually see that these people had a gearing going on. This wasn't just like, like somebody writing in a diary one day or something, if you follow me. Anyhow, I'm going off in left field a lot here, guys, but I'm quite proud of hitting this number here, and it jumped right over it. I'm sure I'm getting some of those from Seven Phoenician Sevens people, because she recently did a video where her and I are debunking Radio 1 here, and here's her video here. And in that, she mentions me because he tries to go off on me. In fact, a lot of the little clips come out of where he's trying to yell at me and tell me I'm a cracker and stuff. And listen, I'm sorry that we have a lot of this racial video stuff going on. It really shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. And I just want you to know that it's not my fault that it's happening. And I think you know that. And the reason I'm doing it is because I was openly challenged, and yeah, a man can just shrug that off. But if there's that many people hopping around freaking out, lying, and trying to cause their own racism by their own hands, I take it upon myself slightly as being somebody who does know at least something that can show you the reality of it, and put that out there as, well, look, I mean, seriously, look. And I know it's gotten out of hand, and you hear me get overly sarcastic. You hear me get angry sometimes when they get angry and I go back at them and things. And I've always kind of been a rubber glue, bounce off me, stick to you kind of guy. You've heard me mention that. But it's really, I can't seem to just stand there with my hands in my pocket whenever I know something. When the teachers ask if the kids knew something, I wasn't the kid that knew it but didn't raise my hand. If I thought I knew it, I raised my hand. If a kid raised his hand and said something and she kind of agreed with it and I had something else to say, I raised my hand and would say it. Quite often the teacher would be enlightened, or not necessarily that I enlightened a teacher, but agree with me and go, yo, well, yes, also, and so on. And finding that, I guess that little trigger mechanism there, realizing, there's some Sherlock Holmes going on here mentality, watching a lot of those old shows, studying ancient mythology, playing games that had to do with it. And what's weird is in the game, it kind of applies it. And in that fact, you kind of see an application in your face. And so when you try to look at things from these other people's point of view, in my mind, it became easier because we were playing like a Dungeons and Dragons game, and you were knocked down to a people of that time, and you had to kind of be in that role. And I think that's what helped me to be in that role. So whenever I go back in time, it only takes me a second, to get into character, if you will, to go, okay, well, because I'll look at this stuff and I'll be all like, well, no, hell no, they had wristwatches. Well, hold on, they didn't have wristwatches. What were they? And then there's this myriad of thoughts that comes in my mind real quickly with like, they thought this about the sky and they thought this about this. This is what level these people were at and their thought processes. Now apply that to what I'm trying to say now, and sometimes it just totally falls apart. Totally falls apart. You can't put that on that. People try to do that all the time now, and on the Bible and things like that. You see it all the time. Apologetics and stuff, and, they're talking about jet airplanes. You're like, no. It's, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure y'all know what I'm saying. So it's just not, it's not applicable, I guess. Yeah, I wanted to sit here and click on a couple of these videos and then talk while they were going on the background and stuff, but I never really got there to it. And we did recently go through all of these videos whenever I was doing the other, if y'all saw it on the debunk vid. Again, I apologize for things like that. What's more geared that you see me instead of debunk videos is trying to show you something like, well, I guess one example here is like hemp or cannabis and stuff. It shows you that, hey, this started out a long time ago, and all those boat ropes, like on the Mayflower and stuff, that's made out of hemp. This stuff's been around a whole lot longer. This way we look at it is recent. And then people want to act like, hey, somebody found this one day just a couple hundred years ago. And it's like, no, no, that's not the way that reality is. But what's funny is we're taught that in school the whole way. I don't know, some little examples of it is like the hijab and stuff, and people are like, oh, they've always had the ladies there all cowled. And it's like, no, back in the 70s, those girls were running around in bikinis and stuff, and they started wearing the cowlings that they wear nowadays, and it's a religious thing that they're doing now. And they want to compare it to like the women that wore the shawls up in England and stuff like that, and blah, blah, blah. But there's a differential to what's going on there, and the way women are being treated, and that you can't probably look at as being in the same light or the same culture. But I I try to find stuff that's going to be interesting to y'all, but what I really do is find things that are interesting to me and it attaches together. And I did the one about the bat god that was in the Incas and stuff, and I knew about that from studying them and stuff, but then hey, y'all didn't know that, and then I found it where it had that cool suit of armor and a little story about it, and I'm like, okay, I can do this with a Batman intro, and that'll be pretty damn entertaining. But if you look, some of these only have 100 views on them. Here's the Amazon ones that are about to come out, and I may even just put them out tonight. I put them out back to back. I don't know if y'all like that or not, but one thing that keeps happening, just to talk between us, is that if I put out a series, I try to make them to where on the top left-hand corner it links to part 2, 3, 4, and so on, and from 1, however numbers there are in the top right hand corner is going to be able to go back to 1. So if you somehow showed up on 3 and then at the end you find out where I say go to 4 and you're like 4, okay, click on the right side, it says 1 and go back to it. But I'm not sure I should be putting them all out back to back like that, because I don't have to show you on here, but a lot of these ones, it'll have 300 views on number 1 and 92 on number 2, and then so on. And some of that's from people going back and talking. But like, this one, just to debunk 1, 2, 3, 392, 331, 237. Wow, okay, so there's a big differential there. Well, is that just because we had a lot of conversation here? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, but I don't know if I'm effective with these back-to-back videos. I wanted to put them out one day and then part 2 the next day, part 2 the next day, but I somehow feel, and I don't want to insult anybody or even myself, but if I don't keep up on it, I think about a lot of different things. I'm here and there and left of field, up, down, up north, down south, back east. I'm all over the place. And so I try to string some together. And I know it seems haphazard to y'all, where I string some together here and then I'm over here, then I do one over here, then I kind of talk back over here. If you've been with me for let's say since last November, or really after the first of the year, I think you see where I showed you an area and a time and an era, right? I did a couple side videos and then Alexander late into the whole thing, but no, I stayed pretty much true to fact. Then I said, well, hold on a minute. I talked about Kamyana-Mohila, Göbekli Tepe and things, and then I've been showing you Proto-Indo-Europeans. Now, all along I've had a video in left field and right field and some other entertainment, because I don't know, I get bored, right? But I don't want you to get bored. I don't want you to say, we Proto-Indo-Europeans again. I'll just wait a couple of weeks. Hell, I've had close to 300 videos come out since the first of the year. I've pumped out well over more than one per day. I think I'm at 260 something this year. So I'm putting out a lot of info, and I'm kind of doing a quantity over quality situation right now, and I don't like it as well. I'd like to make some real David Attenborough, slow pivoting pictures, things and everything, real fanciful. But I don't want to try to be the guy that talks like I'm telling a ghost story and does all that type of stuff. It's great whenever I watch them and it sets a mood. I understand that, and I know y'all do too. And I've tried to do that in a few videos, but whenever I watch them back, to be honest, I cringe. I'm like, here I am. I might as well have a flashlight under my chin, and I'm like, oh, in a cold and blustery night, and I can get up here and talk real quiet, and no. it's not really me. I mean, I could get into making a few videos about it, but if I'm trying to be real, and that's what I decided that this is all about, is reality, so I'm going to try to stay real. And I think you've seen me be somewhat real here. I'm trying to go around and show you new information. It's like the Shigir totem pole and things like that they found, that if it stood on itself and I didn't have it surrounded by other videos talking about Proto-Indo-Europeans and Malta Boy and the genetics of the people of that area and so on, at that same time, it may be just a standalone scene and it doesn't make a whole movie. It's just that scene. I remember that cool scene. Oh, I remember that cool totem pole scene. But what movie does that go? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, well, let me show you more parts of this movie. Now, what's strange is that this movie blends into that movie. Oh, hell. And in this movie, they reference that movie. What's that all about? I'll show you what that's all about. Notice how this is 2,000 years later? How is that? I know you probably don't understand what I'm talking about right now, and I just had a picture in my mind and I tried to relay it to you. I hate whenever I do that, or I say and things, and I've got a million thoughts in my mind, and all I say is and things. Sometimes if you've watched enough of my video, you might know the and things I'm talking about, and they run through your mind too. I hope so. I go so in left field sometimes when I watch back my videos. And what's sad is, when I'm in left field, I realized right then that I could go off and talk about other things that attach to this and just keep getting lost. I could go so far out of the stadium, up in the cheap seats, to where I'm no longer even at the stadium anymore, down the street, don't even know what the hell's going on anymore. I could bring you, and I could do that and bring you back, and I think you've seen me do that 100 times, but I could do that all the time, and I think if I do it too much, it's too much. If you agree with me, put that down in the comments. Let me know. I mean, give me what this is for is a little bit of a critique here. I'm trying to do a Q&A where I do a live broadcast. I tried right before I set this up. After I saw that I had broken the 4,000, yay! I thought that I would try it and see if I could get it to link up. It linked up, but it never would put the video on. It even had the message going and everything, and I put a message out, and it told me I had 0.5 viewers, which I have no idea what that means. And it ran for about 3 minutes, and I was like, it's not working. I tried to get in there and do it. I tried to connect it up one more time. I'll get it. I'll have to look into it and see what I'm not doing right, or how it's not running off the video, or maybe it's just not picking up the camera that I'm running off of. So I'll have to get in there and try to figure that out. There's probably a few different ways to capture those and to do those maybe in a different way than I do the videos too. But I just really wanted to touch in and touch base, and hopefully you like the material that's coming at you, and you have no idea what's about to come at you either, but there's a lot more information that attaches all ancient civilizations together, and hopefully instead of just hearing little pieces of a puzzle and knowing about certain scenes in a movie, we'll slowly actually understand the whole movie and how this whole progression of movies goes together, if you will. I remember a guy a long time ago tried to show me, and he knew what the hell he was doing. He was extremely intelligent, more than I, trying to show me back whenever we were talking about corded wear things and how everybody had moved around. And by taking different colors, okay, what he did was he put a smear at each little name that was on this map. And then he said, well, it looks like these people go here, and he drew a line, right? So he drew a line from the yellow people over to the red people. Then he goes, well, from here it looks like they go here and here. And so he put a yellow and a red line together, made an orange line, and he drew the orange line to these two places. And then he said, but it looks like these two people were really still those guys passing on, but had gone through these people, but the genetics and everything was still those guys carrying on. So let's put a red line over orange, not a yellow. Okay, now follow me, guys. Now he did this to about 30 sites, trying to run it across, and everybody had their own color and blended in and doing things. And he told me genetics was going to figure this out a whole lot better, but this is the way he did. And he kind of lost me and didn't. And I knew the cultures he's talking about, definitely, definitely. And so it kind of showed me, okay, that's what you think. I already disagree with two things you've said already, and I don't know, and I don't see how you make this leap. And there's no way you make that leap. And if they go from here to here, how come nobody in the middle of that has anything that you're talking about, but they had this other before and later? So they didn't get any of that? How is this working, right? Well, now as genetics unfolds, it shows you, oh, no, it was really just more like this. And now we're trying to apply that to the old idea, and it doesn't apply correctly. So everything's having to change a little bit just from a few finds and then a few genetic data that come out, and you go, well, I had this whole little scribble crap going on over here, and it's really just one people moving through another people, mainly keeping the same genetics. And then here's an odd mix that comes out, and then they go over here. That's all it is. Oh, no, it's all these squiggle lines, and it looks like a hairball, and you're like, no. It you know, the way it played out, you know, state to state, if you will, and all these, you know, might have ended up something like that. But in reality, these are these people, these are those people, and they're really close to cell related and actually have a genetic connection from before then, but there's some differential in them, and then here's where it goes down. And it just shows it to you, and that kind of changes things. I keep talking about my web that I have on the way everything looks. It's a spider web, and on the little points of the spider web I have certain civilizations and certain times and how that all connects. And sometimes one of these things just cuts a line and I no longer have that connection, but it's still connected to all these others, isn't it? And if somebody can cut it loose and cut it loose, that's what I do sometimes. I'll go in there and say, well, okay, well, can I just cut this thing loose? Is this real? I put a lot of strength in this point here, but is this point strong, or what's holding this all together? Oh, wait, this is what's holding it all together. It's the foundation. Yeah, the suspension's holding up the car, not the tires. The tires have to hold the weight. Oh, okay. If the axle didn't spin right, none of this would go forward. Now I see. You know, hopefully y'all follow me somewhat. I'm just rambling on now, and this is getting old. But I wanted to share that with you, and share that we have gone quite a distance, but we really have only done kind of a 101, 102, and I keep doing reveals through it. It's kind of what I do. There's a lot more that I want to come out, and there's a lot more that's ready to come out here. Right when the stretch we're looking here, there's already 5 or 6 videos that haven't come out. Here's one about boundary stellates in Kuduru, but, you know, I'll have that come out real soon. It just doesn't fit into what we've got going on now. Etruscans and Dracons and stuff. You know, I've been working on that one for a while, about a month now. And it's funny, Robert Sepper just came out with one that leads right into that right there. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. That's funny. It's 42 minutes long. And I almost think about attaching on his video. I'll have to do it as a 2-part thing, or not his video, but the logic that's out of it. Hell, maybe I'll vamp over a little piece of his video. He really, in his video, kind of does what I do somewhat, where he'll show a part of somebody else's video where they're telling you things. So he doesn't have to talk all the way through it. I don't like the fact that people are forced to believe me, you know, like I'm some Sherlock Holmes and believe in me type of thing. I'm like, no, you know where I got it from? I got it from other people. And then from hearing them, I was kind of like, oh, hold on. There, you know, and sometimes it is a Sherlock moment. Sometimes there's a lot of people saying stuff, and I'm standing out here as a third party and go, oh, ha, 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 ha. But other times it's, no, I agree with that. Then sometimes I'll just go find somebody that disagrees with that and listen to it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? I literally go and find somebody that's trying to debunk that. I mean, I can sit and try to do it in my own mind, but let me just hear somebody trying to debunk that too. And if they have any valid points, then I'll have to put it into question. What points does he have? What's strange about that moment is whenever I do that, I'll find even more knowledge that either verifies it or debunks it, and quite often other knowledge that attaches to other things that I may not have known. Sometimes a light bulb goes off, and then I make a video, and so that's kind of all this rails out. And I've gone off, all kinds of subjects here lately and stuff. And again, I apologize for all of the nigger-centric things. It's just towards the end of last year, I was told by all the trolls, which some of which are probably watching now and trying to write stupid things down in the comments and stuff, that I had 36 things that I had to prove, and then we added 2 more, I think is the way it went. Wasn't it, Squat? And Squat's got to be watching this too. That's what it ended up being. It was really like 16, and then he put out all this crap, and I started debunking him and so on. A lot of, had the guy agree after about 4 videos that West Africans didn't have anything to do with it, but then he still gets on and tries to say, well, some blacks somewhere. Then he went with mulattoes, then occasional some mulattoes, and then now he's trying to say that the current admix Beha were actually existent back then and that those were them. It's just got to be anything other than what genetics and everything is all telling us, of course. And it's odd. Now that they're not involved, they just want to try to discredit Caucasians in any way, shape, or form that actually did do it, which is, again, something extremely pathetic. But yeah, I don't do too much recent stuff. I mean, I did a couple of Trump stuff and things like that were just jokes about what's out now. But I try to stay in ancient cultures because, like we're seeing, it gets all butthurt. If you think it's all butthurt about me talking about Egyptians, you ought to see probably what happens with the SJW type crap. I've watched some of the videos, and you can see it. But then you go down the comments, you're like, whoa, woo, whoa, I'm sure y'all are aware what I'm talking about. So, yeah, ancient dating of creation from different people. I'm sure I'm getting long in the tooth here. Mother of all creation. That one's kind of important. There are some of these that are real important. I almost need to put them in a different folder, and I'll be like, well, watch these first. The problem is me going through them, knowing that in every simple video here, I've gone off in left field, and I think I've put at least some important, pertinent information that by the name of it may not say anything. I mean, red ochre symbology, what? But you watch that video, and it's got a lot of information you may not know, even if you know about red ochre symbology. I mean, I've definitely talked to a couple of people that know about cave art way, way more than me, and yet I've been able to make connections talking to them that they never knew. Yeah, because all they do is study this one thing and these one people and this one deal. And I go, well, have you ever known that these symbols are over in this other cave and all the way down into Egypt, and they all do this ballerina thing? No. Why is there this here and there's a boat right there? Yeah, I think it's a boat too. Why is there a boat when there's not even a river within 14 miles of here? And the same thing's in Egypt, in between the Red Sea and the Nile on the walls, and it shows people dragging them. Sup with, hey, here's that same ballerina lady. Just like I've done for y'all in the videos where it connects the ancient Egyptians there to where they had come from. The problem is I can show you that all day, and somehow people still aren't going to believe it as being, well, that's true, until we get some genetic data. And that's where 7 Phoenician 7 and a few others come in. Because it looks like they're talking about the haplogroup that came down and made the ancient Canaanites, and then a subgroup that came in, and the Tufians, and the existing people there twisted and turned into what was the ancient Egyptians. Slightly different than what would have been what we call Libya today, and the Phoenicians that called themselves Canaan, all around that area too, and the variations on a theme. But it's not this radical different variation like, oh, here's South Sea Islanders right next to this, and there's black people. That wasn't going on. The only black people that were there were Nubians, And so I'm just about through with that whole debunk thing, and I'm fixing to make a video called, y'all got any more of those rumors? Because we can just start up again and have somebody try to do a non-debunked rumor that hasn't been out for. But yeah, I just want to tell y'all I appreciate it, and that I'm trying. And I love the fact that some of y'all are, well, anybody that does it, is actually sending me video clips to watch and everything, and I find it hard to watch all of them, get other things done at the same time, and it gets confusing. I think a lot of you've noticed, though, or people that have done this, they've sent me one, and within a couple of days I've made one about it. Why? I think it's important. Sometimes I want to get it out of the way and not put it on this piece of paper here that's getting 3 sheets long of stuff I didn't do yet. But also because, hey, that's kind of got something going on, and you know what? I'm going to make a video about this and this, and I want to throw this information out there. So when we get to those here in the next week or so, people will be like, oh, and that's like over there. See, there's that string of that web too. Oh, and here's that thing, and yeah, and here it is again. And here's that same Venus chick again, and here it is too. So it's weird. We can get in one of these places, and all of a sudden, it doesn't mean anything, but I've made a picture, okay? I've drawn a picture for you. You've got it all going on. But amazingly, if I all of a sudden go, and here's a Venus statue, doesn't that change everything? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's expected, really, isn't it? But sometimes it changes everything. And then what's amazing is you can go, well, look how this Venus statue looks. It looks just like the ones that are way the hell over here, not long before this and through this time. That used to lead us to believe X. Sometimes I have genetic data to show you now we believe Y. Other times you be like, and it confirms X. And so it kind of shows you things going around, but most all of this is just variations on a theme of primordial Caucasians, but also a lot of it has variations of the people that weren't there that are there now, like up through Europe and the Proto-European blend that goes into there, Anyhow, guys, I appreciate it, and haha, like, share, and subscribe. But y'all have been subbing, and I think it's fantastic. I don't expect this to grow so giantly fast unless something silly happens, or somehow I've had these videos before that have really taken off, and in that I don't get a big jump usually after it. It's been slow. After I had like 1,013, it stopped, and I took months to get to 1,050. It's just been a slow progression, and I've had a few little jumps, people finding my videos and things since then. I appreciate every single one of you, and I want you to hit your bell and make sure that you get every notification that comes. And listen, I'm sorry if I piss you off, and I hope you won't unsub because I've showed you enough to hang around. If I do get too far out in left field, I don't want you to hang around with me either. If I start telling you stuff that you don't agree with, or too much of that to where you don't want to be, go. And I'm sorry I lose you, and I'm sorry that I did whatever it takes to lose you. But also sometimes you may be reading some stuff that's BS. You can always ask me down in the comments, what do you think about this? So I've had a lot of people, what do you think about this? Now listen, whenever that happens sometimes, I go, oh, okay. And I can get into that mode, and I look at it and I go, oh, no wonder you think this. Okay, so I'll try to send something back real quick. And I can't type to everybody. And listen, I'm not that great at typing and putting out, I can talk for 1 minute. And if I tried to type what I just said with all the inflections, it would take a long time. I can't get that out. And the sad thing is while I'm talking, I can't even get out what I'm really trying to emote. But communication is all we have here. And it's why I show you a vid and talk to you with pictures and things like that. And I try to add to it and just show you what I can show you about ancient cultures, so we know a little bit more about where we all come from. Peace, and thank you.